Hello everybody, welcome back to the Panel by Panel Comics channel with your host Jay. You know it's DC Next Level week, so you know I gotta talk about them on my buy or sell. So let's go ahead and get this video started. With DC Next Level, they brought out 3 books, Lobo, Deathstroke, and Batwoman. The first book we're going to be talking about on my buy or sell is going to be Lobo. This is issue number 1, a 32-page comic for the price of $4, a very moderate price in today's day and age of comics. But this one follows Lobo. He essentially goes to this space pub, and he goes there and he sees all these aliens watching this movie about an anti-hero, and he's like, what the frag is an anti-hero? By the way, love the fact that Lobo is essentially cursing all throughout this comic book, but he uses different words that aren't curse words, so they don't have to blur it out. But the action all throughout was really good, and Lobo tells his backstory about literally himself, and you figure out why he is the way he is, stuff that happened to him during his childhood. I'm going to turn this over just a little bit. I think that looks a little better. Not so much glare coming from that side. But anyways, I like the backstory additions. Jorge Corona's art was very, very good. You see him talking more about Wonder Woman, Superman, all the different battles that he's gone through. And at the end, we see that he was there to actually collect a bounty on one of these guys at the bar, and then at the very last second he gets a call and they're like, hey, we actually don't need you to kill him. The bounty has been taken off because my company just got bought out, so don't worry about it. So Lobo goes to this company that bought out the bounty hunter company that he was getting paid from. He's like, hey, where the frag is my money? I need you to pay me up my money. And they're like, hey, we are in the TV business and we really need you to actually kind of work with us here, yada yada yada. He's like, okay, I don't care, where's my money? And this was a beautiful little spread here from Jorge Corona where these bots came over and like, you have 5 seconds to comply, and he said, I'm gonna comply all over you. It was kind of funny. And then we see some more action with Lobo fighting against these bots, but at the end of the day they're like, hey, we actually are interested in creating a reality TV show for you titled The Main Man Lobo, one cash grab after another. It's going to be a very interesting premise for a show, or not for a show, well, for a show, yeah, if this was a real show, but also for a comic book, and I'm really interested in it. So Lobo, issue number 1, Next Level, I am buying into Lobo. I really enjoyed it, and I hope that it can continue to build off of what was a pretty good first issue, because I want to read some more Lobo. Next, we have the Century issue number 1. We have 4 ones and then another jumping on point for a DC book. This one was really, really sad. We start off with Bob talking to his dog, Watchdog, and then telling the story of the Russian dog named Leica, who was on the streets for a long time, and then, or for a couple years, and then got picked up by the Russians and got put in a space shuttle and shipped off to space, where she eventually died because it overheated. And it's a really, really sad story. But then we jump to the Void interrogating Kingpin, which I thought was very interesting, because Kingpin and the Void or Sentry haven't really had a history against each other in the comic books. But the Void, the way that Sentry works is for every good action that Sentry does, the Void has to have an equal response to it. So we saw basically the Void doing a bad thing, and then the Sentry does some good stuff with the Avengers, like going to stop bad guys, going to stop these world-ending events, but then the Void has to cancel it out. And throughout the book, we keep seeing just how much of a head case and how bad the mental health issues are for Bob or Sentry. It is so sad. And I mean, throughout the book, he's just like, with his new wife or girlfriend, whatever it is, he's just like, tell her about the pain you've caused, that you feel alone, humiliated, worthless. Tell her how the Void is a leech on your soul, how for every good thing you do, you must do an equal amount of evil. It's just so hard to listen to. The Void then would go on to go to this rich person's island and essentially kill all the rich people there, and then teleport all the good people away, which in theory you could probably have a little bit of sentiment for, but we see later the Avengers are fighting a battle and they're like, hey Bob, we need you. We need your help. Please come help me. And he doesn't respond to it. Instead, he feels sorry for himself, and he knows that he was telling himself he can't save Leica or even his own dog. Man, you can't even save yourself. Just such a heartbreaking and heart-wrenching issue for the century, number one. I am buying into it, though. This is really, really good. I hope that Paul Jenkins can continue it and continue the path, because I believe it is a mini-series. So mini-series are always, they know where they're going to start and they know where they're going to end. With an ongoing, it kind of can go all over the place. Hopefully the century number one has a good landing spot. Another DC Next Level title was Batwoman. This is issue number one, written by Greg Rucka, the art done by Danny. We essentially follow Katie Kane. I always forget her name, but Batwoman. It started out in Greece, and Kate appears to be in a mental health facility after a battle with her sister Beth, because it jumps back to the last time that her and her sister were together. So we followed the story of them fighting over something not really explained all that well. And what I kept going back to, at least feeling wise, it felt like I was jumping into a middle of a story arc and not the very first issue of a story. That's my big complaint about it. The artwork was also a little bit too... It wasn't good enough for me personally. The artwork could have been a whole lot better, and it didn't help lead the story. Like I mentioned, I'm more of a story over an art guy, but also the story or the art can help a story translate better for the readers, and also it can be better to get the different emotions and tell the story in a better way so that the reader can understand what is going on, where are we, what is the time frame, what are the different implications of this. And I didn't think the artwork did a really good job at that, and it got a really pointless story that I really didn't care for with Beth and Katie Kane. But that's also, I mean, I'm not a biggest fan of the character, and I really wanted to enjoy this, but I will not be continuing Batwoman for DC Next Level. At the very end, it talked about Batwoman breaking into this place where there's a whole lot of dark side talk, so it feels like this is definitely building off of the DCKO event, but I could care less. It wasn't that good, so I am selling Batwoman, unfortunately. I really wanted to like that book, but it just was not good enough for me. The next book we have is Deathstroke, the Terminator, issue number one. 4 DC books on this buy or sell video, only one Marvel. But this is Tate Bromble and Tony Fleeks and Carmine Di Giamonico. It's early, my voice hasn't really gotten going yet, but this 2-page spread was really all that you had to see to know that this was going to be a good book. It's a really self-contained story where we find Slade and Deathstroke doing this mission, this murder for hire, and he breaks into this facility and he's having a conversation with Evergreen the whole time, and Evergreen's telling him like, hey, you got to go talk to your daughter Rose. She really misses you, she really wants to connect with you, and you don't know how much longer you're going to have to be able to talk to her. But he continues on with this mission, and they told him to do it quietly, and he's like, no, screw that, we're doing this loud. I need to use this as an advertisement for myself to let people know I'm still Deathstroke, I'm still the deadliest person on this planet. So we get him killing all these bodyguards because he's trying to make a statement, but while doing so we get these little notes about the little letter that he's writing for Rose. And whenever he finally breaks into the facility, he finds a couple of body doubles. Literally the body doubles, I always forget their names, but just a little extra bit there for him to fight whenever he comes into the facility. And then he finds Evergreen tied up to a chair, and he's been dead this whole time. So who has he been talking to? I don't know. But Evergreen was dead. All the bank accounts for Deathstroke were run dry. And there was a note at the very end of the comic where he was finding Evergreen, and it said, I'm taking everything. And I really feel like this is his daughter. Kind of having a little bit of revenge or whatever it is, some little just heart-wrenching stuff, maybe potentially some stress or PTSD that she's been holding inside. I'm really interested. I think Rose might be the villain in this comic book. Who knows? But this was a really, really good book. And he's no longer a killer. he's a Terminator, hence why it's Deathstroke the Terminator. I am buying into issue number 1 in this whole series with Tony Fleecs. One of the best writers going right now, especially if you've been reading the Feral comic book. Tony Fleecs has been killing that. I think he's going to do the same here with Deathstroke. And my 5th and final book for this buy or sell, we have New Titans. This is issue number 33 of the Teen Titans book, written by Tate Bromble, and Sammy Basri does the arts. So we start off with Nightwing getting some coffee for the whole group, and I always forget what their name is. The Fearsome Five has returned, and they break into the building, and we keep getting a repeat of stories, just a new enemy every single day. After they drink coffee in the morning, a new enemy every single day just breaks into Titan's tower, and it was really kind of going after these former Titan runs where the stories were pretty bad. Not a whole lot of people liked them, and Tate Bromble was essentially making fun of them. It was kind of funny to read, but also it's like, wow, there really hasn't been a lot of repeating stories with the Titans. We also get Stargirl and Nightwing kind of getting a romance, because that was a former story arc in the Titans, and we've been there before, yada yada yada. And throughout it, the coffee machine kept talking to him like, Nightwing, get out of it, wake up, you gotta stop drinking the coffee. And Nightwing breaks the coffee machine, and he's like, why did I do that? What am I doing? But you find out after he stops drinking the coffee, everything falls apart, and there's an earthquake. Everybody's like, what in the world is going to happen? And then you see at the very, very end, the New Titans emerge. Now, are they friend or are they foe? Who knows? You're going to have to read the next issue to find out. I know I will be. I am buying into the New Titans. I thought this was a very, very good book from Tate Bromble, and with the stuff that he did with the Everything Dead and Dying book, the emotions that he brought out of that, I think he has a good chance to replicate that with some fresh new stories for the Titans, whether it's with the new lineup or it's with the old lineup. I'm very intrigued to see what it's going to be. Is this actually a movement from John Kent and these new people to a new Titans lineup, or is it more that they're trapped in this world and it's kind of make-believe and they got to figure out a way to get out of it? I'm very intrigued with that. But guys, that is going to be it. Please go ahead, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments what books you are buying or selling, and let me know what has been your favorite book that you have read this week. So guys, keep flipping those comics, keep reading them panel by panel, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.